but an impressive one nonetheless for Ethan Bergen. And he is able to get a victory over Purdue, the first of the day for anyone. And that 4-2 decision will put Purdue and Army now at a score of 5-3 after the first two bouts. And an early indication of what we might see here today, which is, I think, for the most part, a very evenly matched duel between two teams that are very close to each other nationally in terms of perspective, and a lot of wrestlers that are also pretty close individually in terms of national rankings. That can be also said for the next two wrestlers here on the court, as Greyson Clark and Braden Basile will go head-to-head here at 141.
Clark 2-2 this year. As for Basile, number 30 in the country so far this season. And Vinny, coincidentally, just very interesting to note on last year when these two teams faced, Purdue opened the day with the win at 125. Army responded at 133 with the win of their own. So similar colors here, except last year it was a major decision followed by a fall, as a quick takedown there. And he does a great job, just break it down, rolling with his opponent, and he's trying to get him on his back. He's got him in a tie-up. He doesn't have him in a full tie, but he's got that neck controls. He's going to try to peel him away here, but he's still got that leg, trying to get that single leg at the edge of the mat.
1 point earned on an escape, as Basile will get himself a point. He was the one who got the win at 133 last year over Dustin Norris. So you're seeing some familiar names, right? And at the time, Dustin Norris was ranked 29th. Basile not ranked at the time, as he is indeed that 30th ranked spot here at the new weight class. And so they go back to the middle of the floor here with the Purdue Boilermakers, Greyson Clark, having a 7-1 advantage here, very quickly putting points on the board, which is in stark contrast to what we saw in the last match, where it was pretty deadlocked with no points being awarded for quite a while. And of course, there are just the escapes happening in that second period before inevitably the win was taken at the end. We already talked about Greyson Clark a little bit when he wrestled against the Bulls just about an hour and a half ago. He's a leader in the room for the Boilermakers. He's another one that leads by example. And he's one of those guys that, and I'll emphasize that point again, is going to be better equipped to handle the rigors of the end of the regular season, according to head coach Tony Ersland. And then on the other side of things, for Basile, I mean, this is another one of those athletes that Kevin Ward is just really excited about. I mean, when he looks at these matches, especially against a Purdue team that we talked about, has a lot of talent on it, those last 45 seconds and each moment in between is going to be decided by some of these wrestlers that are in positions of success. And Basile, having success last year at 133, looking to try to replicate that one weight class up. They're still on their feet for the time being here with 40 seconds left to go in this first period. Right now, it is Clark with the advantage, 7-1, but Basile trying to work his way into some grappling here as he tries to get him at the neck. Still fighting it off, and some cheers from the cadets on the Black Knights bench as now Basile tries to get his feet out from under him, and then right back up though is Clark.
Now notice, he's trying to get the wrist. He's trying to snap him. Like we've said earlier, we saw a bit more at the heavier weight classes in Buffalo and Purdue. If you can snap him down right there, he gets the quick snap, and he's able to get around. He got the snap. He got his moment. He's able to pull himself around. When you snap, it leaves you exposed. He does a great job at shooting with it. Watch. Snap, go around, and he gets behind him to get the takedown for the quick 3 points, and now he gets to be on top to end the period.
And he's able to do that right before going out as well. And you mentioned earlier about how the mat drops off to the court of the basketball floor here at, I guess I should have flipped those words around. The floor of the basketball court is what I meant to say, here at Alumni Arena. And that is essentially like I'll call it a dead ball spot, if I'm going to use the basketball terms again, this time maybe correctly. And so the match stops immediately and they go back to the middle to restart from a neutral up or down position. And with that said, he's able to get those points right before getting to that like Flora's lava moment, if you will, on the hardwood. And so Basile, with an escape now, is bringing himself right back into this conversation. And it's 7-5 here, not yet 30 seconds into this second period.
You're down 2, and now we've seen Basile go from letting Clark kind of dictate the tempo to now Basile leading the dance. Look at this. Basile's keeping him at the center of the mat. You saw with Clark, he's trying to pull him a bit to the side. Basile's keeping him centered in the middle where he wants him by the edge of the bullhorn. So if he gets a takedown, he's able to keep moving with him. Now for Basile as well, you talk about that dead zone. place like Purdue, you're wrestling at places like Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois. Those are wrestling facilities where you see full mat and you really have to go out with your whole body. Whereas for places like Buffalo and Army, you're wrestling at schools around the EIWA, Hofstra, Sacred Heart, a little bit of Penn as well at the Penn Quakers. That's places where it's this environment, where it's a mat on hardwood. You need to know where the mat truly ends, because you might still be in, but if you force, we'll call it a dead ball like you said, it totally nixes any positive momentum you have here.
Basile looking for his first win of the season. Right now 0-1 on the young 2024-2025 campaign. And as he continues to grapple with Greyson Clark, they remain a lot more deadlocked score-wise than it was in the beginning, as Clark jumped out to a pretty significant advantage in that first period. Now just about 20 seconds left to go. Basile made a move to try to go for the legs, and now they work a little bit lower in terms of elevation, still up above the trunk here, hand fighting up at the neck as they find themselves pressed together here just at the bottom of the Bulls logo at the middle of the mat. Basile once again wants the legs. He's not going to get it that time. Well defended by Clark. Now they get it around and their arms are locked together and they go to the boundary right as the horn sounds.
So Vinny, let's break down that shot really quick here. As with that, he's going to shoot. You immediately see Clark sprawl out. When you sprawl out, you're pushing back on your opponent to keep your legs back. So even though Basile's shooting, Clark has given himself an extended amount of space. So while he tried to get that shot, he just couldn't finish it.
What a move there by Basile. Clark wanted the escape. He's not going to get it. Now back points are on the table here. Basile has got his shoulders close to the mat. Clark able to fight back, try to spin around, still scrambling as they spin around. Kendall Chrysler with a keen eye on things there. One of our two referees, the other is Don Christensen. He's the one off to the right, not in the picture right now, as now Chrysler able to get back to his feet as well, as the near fall point's not awarded. Now they spin around, and then a nice takedown award. There's those points as I was mentioning, and Bergen has now taken the lead. Basile, rather, has still got the advantage. He's on top, and they're working to the right side of the mat.
So Basile's going to try to go for a Turk right here. That's what he's trying to get. He's trying to force him into that position. But just to break it down, Clark led 7-1 by the end of the first. It's been a 9-0 run for Basile since then, and he's taken the lead to make it 9-7. As you see it, we brought it up, Vinny. You saw Clark tap his foot on the hardwood. We have to reset now. But it should be key to note, really quickly, Basile started in a high-risk, high-reward position when he began as...
Yeah, so this is what... So they awarded a point there, much to the chagrin of Purdue as that happened. And so head coach Tony Ersland is going to argue that call with our officials here today, as he is not happy to see that Basile now essentially is, I believe, going to be ruled up 10-7 after the extra point may be awarded right as they went out. And now they're going to slow things down here, as they still see that the point on the in-arena scoreboard went the wrong direction for a moment, and now everything is righted in terms of official scoring, and they resume things again. And an escape that time earned by Clark, and it's right back to a 2-point match with just 45 seconds left to go in this third period. And boy, are we being treated to some really high-octane wrestling here at the D1 level between Purdue and Army, as these two tangle, Clark and Basile, right at the logo, trying to get an advantage late. We'll see if Basile is able to play defense as Clark wants to get those points. Down to the mat they go, and both their arms are locked. Now looks like Basile in the advantageous position. Clark able to pop up, still looking to try to get underneath that left arm, and now backtracking towards the Purdue bench. Clark forcing him towards the boundary, and still locked. He's got those hands locked now behind him. He's got 3 seconds. A stalling warning is had. They're still going to battle, and the buzzer sounds. And an incredible comeback effort from Braden Basile puts the Black Knights in the lead after the third match.
And let's just take a quick look at that near fall there. He rolls into his back, and that's the moment that decided the match. You saw that Basile was going